Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It is July 29th. First of all, my heart is overflowing with gratitude, as are my sisters and Victoria and Vanessa's. So, there are no words, so simply thank you. The support, the understanding, the compassion, the love, the prayers, the energy, it was just amazing. And we really did continue to receive it. In fact, we continue to receive it to this day. Um, I've taken a little bit more time off than I thought I would. I wanted to make sure that when I came back, I was ready to focus on this. So, a lot of the busy work has been taken care of. What's left is some paperwork. And so I feel like I'm going to be able to get back into at least something that resembles consistent and a rhythm. Today, we are going to do a series of readings. Obviously, this video was called Let's Catch Up. And so there's a bunch of little mini reads that I want to do in a bunch of different areas. So I'm going to plow through them, I hope. I've got about 4 or 5 things here. I just also want to say I have been advised by one of my psychics that this channel, along with others, is going to become coming under a little bit more and more scrutiny. So I'm going to work very, very hard at sort of not say some of the trigger phrases that might, red flag my videos. So a few of them I figured out. They're kind of new nicknames. And some of them I'm still working on. But you guys are a clever bunch, and I know you're going to figure it out. So here we go. I want to start with a quick look at the former son-in-law, or the son-in-law of a former, guy. I want to take a look at what's going on with him because, one gets the feeling that he's running, he's awful quiet. And, there's talk about, has he flipped, did he flip? That's what we're going to find out. But, I thought when you flipped that you had to talk about all known criminal activity, okay? I mean, that was part of the reason, the way I understand it, that the Cohen never chose to sort of flip and kind of really be treated with even more leniency. It was because there were things that he frankly didn't want to talk about, okay? They weren't connected to that guy. And so, right? However, so I want to take a look at that little son-in-law because, financially there's always sort of somehow shifty dealings, etc. He's quiet, and so is Ivanka. And word is that they are keeping themselves separate from their dad as much as they can. Let's take a look, shall we? Come on down. Daughter, son-in-law, dad. Daughter, son-in-law, dad. Daughter, son-in-law, dad. Actually, probably should have asked about the law, but hopefully we'll get an answer. Here we go. Come on down. I have a question. Okay, I'm a little off my game. Where are we at? Oops. 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 Ouch. Okay. So, the Empress is front and center. So what this is saying is the situation is sort of pregnant with possibilities. I think that there's still a great deal of information that is being looked into, that is being, dug around, etc., etc. And it's being seen by authority. It is being seen intellectually, logically, methodically, professionally, but it is being viewed. And what it ends up doing is it ends up putting Jared in a box. Okay? Let's see what else. I'm going to put a big strain on that relationship. kind of feels almost as if there's conversations between the two of them that kind of boil down to, all right, well, which one of us is going to take the hit for the other one? We're going to try and stick this out like a couple, but somebody's going to have to do the heavy lifting. And honestly, it feels sort of like there's almost like negotiations going on, but a lot of conversation, a lot of discussion. But ultimately, I think on some level, they both know that there is going to be some sacrifices that have to be made. I'm going with soon on that one. I'm going on soon. Sorry about that. I realized that I hadn't brought my pendulum with me, and I think this is the kind of reading where we want to see what the pendulum has to say. So, let's talk about president's children, son-in-law children. Okay, so are Jared Kushner and Ivanka likely to face indictment? Okay. Has the gentleman in question flipped? No. And has the daughter flipped? Oh, look at that. It's going still. So that typically means there is no answer, it's unknown, or simply something that we're not going to be privy to. Okay. There we have that one. Now, sort of on the same topic, but not quite, there's an investigation that has been going on for a while. I am into funds that were spent for the inauguration, and how they were spent, and who benefited from them, and whose rooms were jacked up in price by 100% or something, 200%. But now they're investigating. But the interesting thing is that this apparently was being is being investigated as a civil suit. Okay. And so normally in a civil suit, you can kind of negotiate your way out. It's a fine, right? It's like, pay a fine, get out of jail free. But apparently, the Department of Justice has declined to take or discuss any settlement from the accused. They prefer to continue investigating, which sort of suggests that maybe it may be leaning towards criminal, or they think there's a whole lot more to get there. But that is really interesting because, I would think, not being a lawyer, but I would think that would be pretty unusual in what is currently considered a civil case. So I want to take a look at that investigation. And don't forget, one of the guy's very best friends, Tom, is in a little bit of trouble himself, but he was sort of the head honcho of the committee that was creating and sorting out all the events for that party. This is going to be a lot of work, if I have to keep coming up with 7 different ways to say really simple, statements or words. Okay, so let's take a look and see what those investigations are looking like. And I mean, that would impact, the daughter, Junior, Tom. I don't know, but let's take a look and see. Come on down. I have a question. Okay, so the question is investigation, inauguration, committee. Investigation, inauguration committee, investigation, inauguration committee. I just gave up on that one. Here we go. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There is still more to come out in terms of that investigation. They are still investigating, they're still digging, they're still compiling information. They have a lot. Okay. They simply have the volume. The people involved are not without considerable, worry, anguish, fear about what that may bring. Now, some of them have spent their whole life either themselves or watching other members of their family, um, sort of soothe their way out of trouble until they can't get any further, and then they offer a settlement in civil court. So I think it's possible that some of those people really felt that this wasn't a big deal because they've always been able to handle these kinds of cases before. However, the writing seems to be settling in, the reality seems to be settling in. And, people have known, like, sort of since that day, that, there was a whole lot more profit being made in a very sudden manner. So, this was not a well kept secret. It is going to require some hard decisions be made, but there is a sense, and this is from the legal perspective, there is a sense that if the prosecutors don't really come down on this, it could sort of set a bad precedent, right? That there is almost like an example needs to be made. This is so wrong. This is going to end up in the court system, and ultimately they're going to feel some of the pain. They're not going to be able to defend themselves. They're not going to have a way to defend themselves. Okay. Is the current investigation going to? Are there going to be more formal charges? Are there going to be formal charges laid? Yes. And might one or two of those charges become civil? Or sorry, become criminal? Yeah, it looks like it could. Looks like it could. Um, is Junior likely to feel the impact of this? Yeah. And how about the daughter? How's the daughter going to be impacted? Yes. So, okay, so even though I said it wrong, the daughter, I'm questioning, the question is the daughter going to be impacted? And the answer is yes. And what about Tom? Is he going to also feel some pain as a result of the investigation? Okay, good to know. Let's take a look at, oh, I love this one. I'm really curious to do this one. So Mo Brooks, who he's out of Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. He is a real singing the praises of Dawn. Just, he is. Hang on, I've got a sip. Sorry, excuse me, thank you. So he was charged with something in connection to that terrible day and what he may have done to cause or provoke or help or assist it. Anyways, he put in his defense, and his defense was, you can't charge me because I was operating in the parameters of my job. And apparently the DOJ said, I don't think that we're actually going to defend you as if it was a part of your job. So you got Brooks out there, I think, probably going to be in a fair little bit of what the heck. So I have a question, and the question is, Alabama Brooks found guilty. Alabama Brooks found guilty. Alabama Brooks found guilty. You did see I shuffled them, right? You know, it's interesting because the same sort of cards keep coming up and they are being shuffled. It feels like, you know, these questions, I guess, are all interconnected with each other. And so the story is, like, you know, I guess consistent. So as for this gentleman, um, it's a step too far. He went a step too far. And there are those who are going to say that's just like enough. Again, that sense of, you know, we're not going to allow this to appear normal. This could very well go on through the court system for a while. But as long as, you know, you've got that King of Mar-a-Lago busy, he's going to stay firm. He's not going to try to pull back or back away. He's going to stand firm. And, you know, there's going to be nonsense that gets spewed. They're going to try to spin it, all kinds of stuff. But when it comes right down to it, um, when it comes right down to it, he will literally throw himself, what is that expression, on the sword? Because part of it is part of it is in some way he's almost convinced himself that at least some of it's true, and that's how he can sort of maintain that really fiery indignation. Make no mistake, he is ultimately driven by his own political wishes, desires, or greed. Yeah, it's not going to go well for him. It's just, and kind of, the more he kind of plays like stupid, like, no, I don't know, I don't think, like that, I don't think it's going to go well for him. Like, the more he kind of tries to play the fool, it feels very, very much like that's going to not work in his favor. All right, let's shuffle these up. Come on back. Hello, hello. Okay, so let's take a look at Tom, shall we? I want to take a look at Tom and see how Tom's doing. Because, you know, what is it? 7 counts. So not good. Those are not good charges. And again, this man has a great deal of money. And, you know, he can tie all this nonsense up in court for a very, very long time. I guess it's a question at some point if the courts just stop taking things up. The courts stop. Oh my God, Cindy. If the courts stop, you know, when they go to the next level and they're under review, and you know, if the courts just said, no, I agree with that lower court and that's how it stands, you kind of wonder if some of this crazy wouldn't stop. And I don't know. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer in Canada. I sure as heck am not one in the United States. But I want to, you know, so I don't know, but I would think that it's just not good, right? Okay. All right, let's focus on Tom Barrack. I guess, I don't know, maybe another circle in towards center in terms of how close they're creeping. All right, more shuffle. All right, come on down. Trajectory for Tom, trajectory for Tom, trajectory for Tom. Well, he sure's getting rosy cards. Let's take a look and see what they're actually talking about. Okay, so he is actually going to be able to use a lot of tricks at his disposal. There is so much more to come out, so much more to be exposed. And I think as he starts to really recognize how much is going to be exposed, and he really starts to see the writing on the wall, because it's not like he's going to get any support or cover from that other guy, because he's busy like freaking out about his own stuff. It feels like at that point, as the pressures mount, as more information comes out, it really feels like at that point there's going to have to be a real come to Jesus moment and figure out exactly how he's going to handle this, and frankly, how much of a hit he is prepared to take. He is considerably more wealthy than you know who. Oh my God, look at this. You have the Lovers and the Two of Cups coming up side by side, and Temperance. So it feels as if, he is going to try to maintain some sort of a balance. He is going to try to kind of, see what the friendship can do. If he was smart, he would deny the friendship. But, it's interesting because he's got, what would normally be considered pretty good cards, and yet the energy from them is not. It is, you know, um, it's a little sinister. It's a little bit, things are coming to an end, and you can paint a rosy picture all you want. You can smile as you get in and out of your limousine, but the reality is, just exactly how much risk there is for exposure, and it really feels as if there's going to be some real trouble coming for him. I mean, he's going to fight this. He's already said that he was innocent. They've got him out on bail, which, I don't know. I don't know if even so he had to surrender his passport. Not that he would need one, so much because, private jets and all. But it's not going to work for him. And I don't know, but it feels as if it's almost like a, it's almost like it's a choice he's going to have to make between, in terms of how much exposure is too much exposure. But it just doesn't feel like, listen, this is going to go on. Okay. This is going to go on for a really long time. It's going to really, really feel that he is the master at playing the system, unlike, somebody else he knows who's just kind of a fool. But it feels very much as if, um, yeah, he's going to drag this and almost until, not that it becomes a moot point, but that it's so far out of public consciousness that, he might be able to negotiate something at that point. But for right now, it feels as if, even though it's not good, one, he can't see that it's not as good as, it's not as good as he thinks it is. It's worse. Um, and he still, is sort of in that place where he's like trying to hang on to one thing and another at the same time, and they're not compatible. So let's ask the pendulum, just, um, let's start with, are these particular federal charges against Tom, are they, is that going to like drag through the courts? Is it going to take a good long while for that to keep moving? Yeah. Okay. I don't know how many, when you're charged federally, I don't know how many levels there are to go up until, you get to an appeals court or you run out of courts. But he's going to drag his butt on that. Even so, is this going to cost him financially, or in terms of reputation, in terms of, money, business acumen? Yeah, so you know what? Even as he's smiling and saying it's all fine, He's, oh, I God almighty, I'm sorry, this thing is going left like crazy. I was just holding it to, maybe I'm not as sharp on the box as I thought I was. I'll just re-ask that question. Is he going to result loss? Is there going to be loss as a result of these charges, whether it is with his reputation, financial, etc.? Is this man going to face significant loss as a result of these charges federally? Okay, there you go. There's your very, very big yes answer. All right, I want to take a quick look at the House committee that's going on, that's doing an investigation. They're doing it on that terrible day and what happened there and what went on there. And so it is bipartisan. You've got apparently the only two thinking Republicans around who are also taking an active role in that committee, and it's going to get worse. It feels sometimes, and again, I don't know, but sometimes this feels like sort of the recognized strategy, if you will, would be to like start with the worst and then, kind of go down the scale to lesser incidences, crimes, events, whatever. This actually feels the reverse. It feels almost like they're going to go, like they're starting with not the low-hanging fruit, but it's almost like a hit and a hit and a hit and a hit. It doesn't really feel like that diminishes as the days and weeks go on. So it feels like there's just going to be almost like a bombardment of really sad, pathetic, embarrassing news that comes out about what did and did not happen. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to shuffle them more time. Let's take a look at that. I want to see kind of what the trajectory for that committee is. So let's take a look. Trajectory, House Committee, trajectory, House Committee, trajectory, House Committee. On down. Oh boy, I really am a little bit off my game, aren't I? Hopefully over the weekend I'll recharge a bit more. There we go. See what we see here. Okay. They are, so this is now sitting with that government committee, and it's being handled, and it's sort of very much like the other investigations into him have been, but what's happening is the more they find out, the more it feels like willing they are to let the chips fall where they may. Like, they're really not going to hold any bards. This is who they're going after, and we all know who this is in my deck. The King of Pentacles could only be a king, even if it is only a hotel. What's going to happen as the information comes out is there, frankly, is going to be more and more anger. There's going to, this is the thing. So if, you're a regular viewer of that channel, you're going to almost start hearing about what's going on in this situation because, it's not going to be palatable to their viewers. But for kind of everybody else, they're going to get more and more information, and they're going to find out what was going on. And it's almost going to start the power and the energy of that movement 4 years ago, when people we're like, no, 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 we're stopping this in its track. We're starting from day one, and we're just going to keep building and building momentum. It almost feels like it's a very similar situation. It's going to really, really get people fired up. And so people who are maybe on the fence are now going to say that this is beyond, acceptable. So there is going to be a shift center right. Except, of course, for those ones who are over here, like, dangling off the cliff like a lemon. Yeah. This is going to uncover a great deal, and it is going to expose a great deal. A great deal about, politics, a great deal about flat callousness, a great deal about maybe some of the inner workings that on a day-to-day basis people don't kind of think about or realize. There's just going to be a lot of information that comes out, and ultimately it is going to actually clear up the confusion. There's going to be a real sense of strength and clarity. And you know what? It feels as if this is actually going to move fairly quickly. It's not going to be one of those ones that get dragged out for 100 years, because it's a House committee, so it falls under Pelosi. She is not going to suffer fools gladly. So this sector is going to move along, make no mistake. And it also looks like ultimately the legacy is corrected, and the lies are boxed in, okay, frozen. So it feels like this thing is moving ahead. It's going to move ahead fairly quickly. And it also very much feels like there is going to be, success as this goes forward. There's the victory card for them. They're going to break the evil to make everything good and happy again. Lovely. Okay. All right. And I want to take a look at Matt and Marjorie, because they seem lately to be running into a fair amount of static as they're on this ridiculous tour of your country. Not, spewing nonsense, but they're starting to get heckled's the word I would use. So I want to take a look at that. I want to see how they're going to fare, because I don't know if you saw, but Matt's future sister-in-law has a video out basically saying, this is what happened to me. This is what I know. I think he's a creep and a bit of a deviant. Yeah, so, so I wonder what they talk about at the family dinner table. It just feels like the floodgates are really starting to turn, right? Because initially you've got the people who are, moral and have a thinking brain and can use reason, and, they're indignant. But there's that other group that sort of, they were allowed to kind of just carry on doing their own thing, and people would huff and puff. But now it really feels as if people are out there and they're saying their piece, and more people are being confronted by people center left who say, like, enough is enough is enough. You have crossed so many lines, you're playing double dutch. All right, let's see what we can find out, shall we? I think I'm going to take them one at a time. Tell me about Matt. Tell me about Matt. Tell me about Matt. Okay. You know, there are going to be repercussions and ramifications, but in some ways, and I'm sorry to say this, hopefully this energy shifts and changes. Maybe perhaps it will as more and more external pressure is applied. But for right now, you know, he still feels that he has the strength, that he is in a strong position, he has strong allies, that he is going to be, for the most part, going to be able to kind of ride this out. And, personally, energetically, I don't think that's what's going to happen, but he does. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't worry or concern and stress and trying to balance stuff and figure stuff out behind the scenes. There is, of course. But it feels as if there is still a lot of cocky attached to his energy. Like, I've got this. Don't worry about it. I know how to play these fools. Right? Yeah. He is sort of a bit on a long road of continually having to defend himself in some ways. The fact that there haven't been charges brought yet is really working um, to an advantage, I guess, for investigators, certainly to those on the left, because it continues to kind of keep looping back. And at this point, more and more people are really taking a politically active, polite role in saying, you're not all that, or saying, are you actually a pedophile? Or are you really as dumb as you think that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of that kind of going on, and in some ways that of course makes bigger news than the fact that they're doing this ridiculous tour. So there's definitely a sense that for right now he still thinks he can get away with it. He can't. More and more and more is going to come out, and it is going to slowly erode whatever victory he thinks he has going for him. All right, and let's take a quick look at Marjorie. In some ways, they sort of remind me, I was going to say of the Ken and Barbie, but, they were attractive, and these guys. But, the Ken and Barbie of, Tour of the Fools, right? It's like, how not clever do you think the people you're talking to are? And some people, yep, they swallow it whole. But really, do you really think that the whole world is like buying this? Do you care if the whole world is buying it? Are you playing to an audience of one? Okay, let's take a look at Marjorie. Let's just take a look at Marjorie. Now, I understand that both of these individuals are really, really good at fundraising, but I also understand that it seems to me, I heard that those numbers are dropping a little bit. Okay, so they didn't do as good in the second quarter as they did in the first quarter. That kind of thing is the way I'm interpreting that. So, once they lose sort of that magical ability, and listen, from the crowds that are showing up on that tour or not showing up, is there still the momentum there? I'm not so sure there is. If you book a venue for 1,500 people and 200 people, I am just picking these numbers at random, show up, that's telling you that maybe people aren't so interested in what you're offering. All right. Come on down. I have a question about Marjorie. Marjorie, current trajectory. Marjorie, current trajectory. Marjorie, current trajectory. Okay. up the creek without a paddle. Really, really, she's in some ways. So this is kind of the interesting thing about her right now and the party, who I've decided to refer to as the GOPs. GOP apostrophe S, GOPs. So on the one hand, they would like her to be quiet, stop dumbing down the party, if you will. But on the other hand, she is providing, in fact, the two of them are providing a very helpful distraction. And boy, oh boy, there's some stuff that they really need distracting from, like house committees, like investigations, like all kinds of stuff. And so on the one hand, they're saying, oh, she shouldn't do that. In fact, they're not even saying that, they're staying silent. But on the other hand, they're kind of going, go on, a little more. Because what it does is literally distract from them and what is going on. However, this is the thing about that person, her energy, is she is one of those, give her an inch, take a mile kind of people. So the more she is, praised for the crazier she becomes. She keeps amping up, the wattage on that. And so ultimately, and she's going to accelerate, right? But it doesn't end well for her because she just ultimately ends up looking kind of like a loser. Just looking like someone who, and this is the thing with her, you really understand on some level that she believes what she's saying, okay? Like the other guy, like Matt, you can look at him and say, I don't really know if he believes it or he doesn't believe it. He's just doing politics. Her, you actually get the feeling that some of the stuff she's spouting, she actually believes. And in and of itself, that sort of makes her a little bit more dangerous because there's sort of no low that she won't go. But it just feels as if it's not going to work for her, and it feels as if the momentum is picking up for it not going to work out so well for her. So she's going to continue to sort of be a little bit under fire, and people are going to, I think, continue to frankly, increase the heat, because for too long, nobody was confronting these people. I mean, literally, there are so many other people who, and I can think of some big name people, right? Who would literally get confronted by the regular media with questions like, are you a rapist? Are you a pedophile? Are you a sex trafficker? But in this era, apparently they back off from that. And so it's taking a little bit longer kind of for the momentum to really, really kick up there. But it's coming. Okay. I'm going to take the weekend. So have a good weekend. I will see you next week. I'm not quite sure what day. I'm hoping Tuesday. And the crystal reading will continue on Sundays. Pick your crystal. Thank you. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the support. Not, for me and mine, amazing. And I'm so, so grateful. And for the support of this channel, for the ongoing support of it. You ride with me through the high waves and the shallows, and somehow we get through. So thank you so, so much. Until next time, take care. Be well.